Players, when I tell you that President Biden has dead-eye Rick Scott shooketh, child, and he didn't even say his damn name, but Rick Scott is over there fighting for his life on Twitter, and he is losing his battle. So as we know, last night, the most explosive part of the State of the Union was when President Biden mentioned that some Republicans want to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. Now, President Biden didn't say no names, honey, but he did say that he has the receipts. All you got to do is call his office. He was being nice. He actually did the dude a favor. But baby, you know the internet, they don't play around like that, so they quickly identified that Rick Scott was the culprit and brought the receipts.
Two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax. It also says all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
So now dead-eye Rick Scott is shooketh, honey, and he is trying with all his might to defend himself, but it's not working. Now, despite the video evidence that we have that Rick Scott definitely wants to get rid of Social Security and Medicaid, this is what he posted on Twitter. So he tweets, last night, President Biden rambled for a while, but seems he have forgot to share the facts. In my plan, I suggested the following. All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. Now, Rick Scott may be dead in the eyes, but he is not stupid. He basically doubled down on what President Biden said that one Republican said. And again, President Biden didn't say no name. So now Rick Scott wants to say Joe Biden is confused to suggest that this means I want to cut Social Security and Medicare. Is a lie, is a dishonest move from a very confused president. He also brought up a bill from decades ago in 1975 where President Biden introduced this bill that would sunset all federal programs. Of course, it failed. But we're not talking about 1975, Rick Scott. We're talking about 2022 and 2023. And you just doubled down on sunsetting those federal programs, honey. And that is a re-damn ridiculous and a hot boo-boo shitty mess. He actually went and pulled the receipts, honey, and that's a copy of the bill from 1975. But I'm going to keep it a stack with you. We don't care. The bill is dead, just like yours. He also paid for and ran an ad this morning where he is pushing for President Biden to resign. He also accused President Biden, and he brought Charles in charge in the mix, honey, Chuck Schumer, saying that he must have twisted his words, or anyone else for that matter. However, Biden and the Dems did, in fact, cut Medicare last year. They lie about it, and liberal media covers for them. See, what dead-eye Rick Scott needs to understand that you can't attempt to backpedal and pussy pop out of something and then double down on it in the same breath. And that's why the internet sleuths will always be on your case, honey. So, baby, they done brought up the fact that Rick Scott was the CEO of a company that was responsible for the largest healthcare fraud case in U.S. history that settled for $1.7 billion. So, Ricky, I'm going to need you to go ahead and take that L and have several seats in the back of the bus. Players, put your thoughts in the comments. This is Double D Movo.